I'm Sebastian St. James. Small cap stocks are costing you too much. You're about to pay 14.29% too much? Here's how. This is the stock CTV. On the right, you can see the bid price is 7 and the offer is 8 and the last price is 7. Let's put that in a table. That means the spread is 0.001, those two figures taken away, and the spread is therefore 14.29%. Okay, so why is this costing me 14%? Let's examine that. The bid is how much the buyer is willing to pay, in this case 0.007 cents. The offer is how much the seller is willing to accept, in this case 8. And you're offering 7. So what's the spread? Spread equals offer minus bid. And that's it. The spread is the difference between what you, the buyer, are willing to pay and what the seller is willing to sell at. And that is the spread. Or the other way around, if you're the seller. And the percentage spread, well, how did I get the 14.29? The percentage spread comes from dividing the actual real spread by one of the two prices. Is it the ask or the offer? In reality, if you're the buyer, then the spread is from your price, what you're willing to bid, upwards. If you're selling, then it's kind of from your price, which is the offer price, downwards. But in reality, let's just use the last price as a standard. So percentage spread equals the spread divided by the last price. And that's where you get your percentage from, times 100. If I'm about to buy into a stock, how do I know what is a fair and reasonable offer? Is it just what I want to pay, which they may never ever accept? Or is it what the seller is wanting to sell it to me for? Well, the answer is it's the last price. That's what somebody actually paid. That's what the value of the stock is. If the seller is not offering you the stock at that price, then they're overcharging you, which they're welcome to do, but really the last price is the fair and reasonable offer in most cases. But we have a problem. 14.29%. Let's say this stock is a really good one and it makes 10% a year. Wow! Except it will take you almost 1.5 years to make up for the cost of actually getting into the stock. So not such an exciting stock now, is it? Maybe that's just stocks. When you buy and sell a house, there's like 5-7% that you're going to have to pay in fees to the realtor. It's commission. It's just a part of buying and selling. Aren't stocks the same then? Here is BHP. As we can see, the bid is 37.1 and the offer is 37.12. Their prices of right now as of recording the video. So here's the table. The last price is 37.12. The spread, therefore, is the 12. Take away the 1, which equals the 2. What sort of math is that? That doesn't work out. 12 take away 1 is 2. In decimals, it's really 0.12 minus 0.10, which equals 0.02. Trust me. Therefore, the spread, if we divide it by 37.12, is 0.05%. Oh, well, that's a lot better then. So what's happening? So we are selling BHP here. Drop the price by 0.005% to seal the deal. 0.1%, yeah, I can do that for you. So you can see BHP, a totally different stock, is a totally different situation. So not all stocks have this massive impost of 12.5%. It's only the smaller end of town. The big end have no problems at all. They all still have a spread by definition. Stocks tend to have spreads, but the higher up you go in value, the less the spread it is. And that's just the way it works. So CTV has a spread of 14.29%. BHP a spread of 0.05%. Why? I've seen this in the examples. The figures tell me this is true, but exactly what's causing it? Well, if we have a look at the market cap, BHP has a market cap of 186,040 million, or 186 billion if you prefer. CTV has a market cap of 1 million, all right? So we're comparing a massive, gigantic super cap company down to a tiny little minnow that hardly exists. So that is why there's a difference in the spread. So market cap is related to the spread, but so is price. Price? How so? The last price, as we know, on CTV was 0.007. The offer was 8. Let's split the difference and I go 0.0075. I mean, it's only fair. But you'll notice down the very bottom in red, there is an error. Your limit price falls outside the price step rules. Stocks trading at prices up to 10 cents can only be priced at 0.1 cent steps. The ASX has step rules in place. That basically means when it comes down to penny stocks, the amount that you can have between the different levels, the different amounts that you're allowed to offer, is huge. In this case, 14.29%. That is the minimum gap. As you can see, I can't halve it, between my price and his price, and ASX will leave nothing in between. So the price itself, and nothing but the price in this case, causes the steps to be huge, and that's just the way it is in the world of penny stocks. And they're the rules. Here's another stock. This is JTL. As you can see, the bid is 5, the offer is 7, and the difference, of course, is because of the step rules or not. No, hang on. 5, he's offering 7. Is there not a 6 in between? You can't trick me. Let's put in 0.006 and see if that price will be accepted. It goes in, and yes, it is accepted. There's no red error message to tell you, which is why it's not on the screen. So, he is tricking me. The bid is 5. He could be offering 6, but instead he's gone to 7. So, just because there's two prices does not mean they're actually exactly one step apart. You could be offering me far, far too much. And that's the reality. So, what we've learned is what impacts on spread is the ASX step rules, particularly when you're getting down below $1, counterparty asking too much. Never assume that what they're offering is exactly one step. It may be many, many more. The next risk, we have to look at JTL's price history. And here it is. Oh, well, hang on. The price hasn't changed there. Day after day, it is 0.005. And then the next day is the same, and the next day is the same. This stock is not trading. Nothing is going on here. This is what we call a thinly traded stocks, right? So stocks that hardly have any activity. Some microcap stocks actually have day after day where nothing actually changes hands. Everybody holds on to their money or holds on to their stocks. And thinly traded stocks are often very hard to get into, and people often are prepared to wait and ask ridiculously large gaps, even higher than the minimum spread, which is exactly what we're seeing here. This guy's just picked a price, he's sticking with it. On the other hand, BHP's price history looks like, wow, that is totally different. Every single closing day is a different price, and there is lots and lots of volume going in through there. Now we can add to what affects spread is thinly traded stocks. The reality is, if you want to buy small cap stocks, particularly if you're going down the bottom end, and micro cap stocks, then that spread is going to be a cost you have to factor in. You've described the problem rather well, Sebastian. What is the solution? Well, the first thing you can try is not to cross the spread. You do not have to. You can actually pick the last price, or whatever price you want really, and just hold. It might be tempting to cross, but in this particular scenario, we don't. And the way you do this is through a limit order. So we can see the last price there is 5. I pop in my limit price of 0.005, same as the last price, and that's it. I just walk away and see what happens. Okay, so what is a limit order and how does it work? And how does it protect me? A buy limit order allows you to pay up to the limit, but no more. In reality, whatever limit you actually put in is probably the price, but particularly during the opening of the market, you may actually pay less than the limit. So the limit is the maximum you're prepared to pay occasionally, and it is only occasionally, you'll actually get it for cheaper. A sell limit allows you to receive at least the limit, but no less. Theoretically, you can receive more, and you'll be okay with that. I have a video coming out shortly that will tell you the best way to pick small cap stocks, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out. So I can pick the last price and dig my heels in. What is the downside of that? If it's a thinly traded stock, you may have to be prepared to wait hours or days or possibly weeks to get into that stock. If you pick a price, even if it's a fair and reasonable price, and stick with it, you may have to be prepared to wait. And what happens if the seller does not come down to your price? Well, then you may have to be prepared to walk away. That's the only way to really enforce a deal. If you're going to walk away, then do you have an option B? Do you have another share that you're prepared to buy if share A does not work out? That you would have to factor in that particular strategy where you will not cross the line of the spread. Alternatively, if you are going to hold this stock for years, then you can just pay the spread. You can cross it, pay the 14.29% and amortize it over the amount of time that you're going to hold the stock. Amortor what? Amortize means gradually writing off the initial cost over a period of time. 14.29% is ridiculous, but if you're going to hold it for 10 years and the stock does particularly well, maybe it's not a problem. If you're going to actually go down the bottom end of town and go into small caps and micro caps, then holding them for longer naturally goes with that territory because of the extra spread costs. So factor that in to your strategy. So we've talked about don't cross the spread and just wait it out. We've talked about crossing the spread if you're going to hold the stock for a long time. There is a hybrid approach. The hybrid approach is actually the strategy I tend to use myself. I pick the price I want and lock it in with a limit order and then wait a few hours, sometimes a few days, and probably about 80% of the time my price is met. Therefore, I'm saving money because I haven't been the one who crossed the spread. The seller has been the one. But eventually, if I want the stock, I do cross it and I do buy it. And that is the hybrid approach. Option number 4 is to limit how small you're prepared to go. The larger the cap, the less spread, typically. If you're uncomfortable dealing with spreads, don't go down to the bottom end of town. And that can solve that problem. But also don't stick totally up the top end of town either, because you limit the number of stocks you've got to choose from. Here's how. Let's imagine that you're single and you're looking for a wife and you decide to pick somebody who's living on your current street now. Think about all your neighbours, you have to pick one. So who do you end up with? Well, it's a limited world, so you might end up with this woman. Isn't she lovely? Yes, she's the most eligible woman on your street. Why? Well, slim pickings if you're going to limit yourself just to the people who are on your street. Okay, that's not very good. That's just like narrowing yourself down to a tiny set of stocks, and only these I'll have. Well, maybe none of those stocks are particularly good, and so you end up with a bit of a dud. Too narrow is not a good thing, so let me broaden out my horizon and choose a wife from somebody who lives in the same suburb as me. And this is who you might end up with. She's lovely, I'm sure. She's no supermodel, but you've limited yourself just down to one neighbourhood and, well, that's what you've got. So what happens if I didn't limit myself at all? I opened myself up to every possible wife in the entire world. Like any country, no matter what, surely there must be somebody out there who's amazing and desperate enough to marry you. And here she is. Look at that. By not limiting yourself to too narrow a pool, you've ended up with somebody amazing. And then you woke up and it was all just a dream. So micro-cap stocks and small-cap stocks do have problems because of the spread, but they also have some advantages because of the potential growth. Now, a company that is large and has already saturated the market, which is like a Netflix, how much more can it grow? The answer is it can't. That's the problem that Netflix is having at the moment, particularly in certain countries like the US. They've totally saturated the market. They're really not going to grow anymore. On the other hand, if you go for a small stock, maybe a brand new company that's competing with Netflix, say, but only has 0.1% of all of the US viewers, can they grow? Yes, probably. They could double, they could triple, simply because they're small. They have so much more potential upside and potentially more downside risk, but they're not limited by growth. This video is about the extra costs, the spread if you go down the bottom end of town, but a lot of those stocks also have not been analysed to the hilt. There's often some hidden gems, some good value stocks that you'll be able to grab your hands on, but you do have to remember the extra costs of the spread if you want to play this game. Do you know that you have to get rich now or be poor forever? You have 12 months left. Go ahead and watch the video now.